Young, what did you mean just now? Jungkook's reaction that suddenly disrupted the emotional atmosphere of BTS's Weverse Live on July 1st, 2025, wasn't just a spontaneous response. It was an early alarm that woke up millions of ARMY around the world. Something had just happened. No background music, no lighting effects, just Jimin, sitting calmly, smiling faintly, saying 6 words that immediately set the global fandom ablaze. I learned to breathe again. A sentence that might sound ordinary to the untrained ear, but to those who know Jimin deeply, it wasn't just an emotional reflection. It was a code. And as usual, ARMY did not let it pass without investigation. The broadcast, touted as BTS's first full reunion moment since each member began military service, was indeed emotionally charged. No script, no product promotions, just 7 men sitting together again after 2 years of separate lives. However, what turned the live into a subject of intense speculation and deconstruction wasn't the emotional tears or nostalgic laughter, but rather Jimin's silent intervention that was either accidental or perhaps intentional. I learned to breathe again. That phrase didn't just make Jungkook stare at him in confusion. It also made RM instinctively glance at the camera, as if realizing the moment was too big to be a coincidence. IT only took a few minutes after the sentence was uttered for ARMY to start their investigation engine. Community forums, discussion groups, and large fan accounts began piecing together fragments that once seemed unrelated. Within hours, the phrase had gone globally trending. But what made it truly shake the fandom wasn't just its virality, but the contextual meaning behind it. The words, if interpreted more deeply, carried personal, narrative, and even strategic dimensions, possibly part of a quietly planned artistic phase of Jimin's next work. This isn't the first time Jimin has used such expressions. In his 2023 solo project Face, he showed courage in revealing his vulnerability. Songs like Set Me Free PT2 and Alone became emotional windows rarely touched in the K-pop idol world. But this time, I Learned to Breathe Again felt different. It wasn't a cry or an emotional outburst. It was the quiet admission of someone who survived and is just beginning to heal. And for fans who followed Jimin's career narrative from the start, the phrase felt too structured and symbolic to be just a spontaneous remark. The peak of speculation came when several ARMYs discovered that Jimin had changed his Weverse profile picture to a sky lit with soft light, a visual thematically aligned with the idea of breathing again, as if emerging from dark clouds. Not only that, a longtime choreographer of Jimin, previously involved in Lie and Serendipity, posted a cryptic message on Instagram with the phrase, "He's not done." All this reinforced the speculation that Jimin's phrase during the live wasn't just an emotional reflection, but a fragment of something much bigger, perhaps lyrics, a title, or even a central theme of an upcoming musical work. However, speculation turned into concern after fans realized that the live clip containing Jimin's sentence was not replayed in the official edited version. HYB's partner platform instead removed that part in the highlights shared with the public. No explanation, no clarification. But it was precisely from this absence that theories were born. Was it deliberate? Was the sentence part of a marketing strategy that leaked too early? Or was it a purely personal expression that was never meant to be public? Jungkook, known as the member most sensitive to changes in mood and the emotional expressions of his bandmates, was the only one who openly reacted to the moment during the live stream. His gaze was full of questions, and though nothing more was said in that moment, his facial expression was enough to imply there was something behind Jimin's words. The question now is this the beginning of a new solo era for Jimin? Or is this part of a larger plan involving all of BTS? ARMY speculation is now split into 2 major camps. The first believes that Jimin unintentionally revealed lyrics from a solo song in progress, most likely titled Breathe Again, in line with unofficial information linking his alias to a new song registered in the Korean Music Copyright Association's database. The second believes that the phrase is a narrative link between Promise, 2018, Face, 2023, and the third chapter of his post-military career, an emotional continuity constructed thematically and deliberately. Furthermore, fans are connecting the sentence to Jimin's personal letter released at the end of 2024, where he wrote, "There are days when I feel awakened in a new world, but I still don't know how to live in it." This narrative now seems to climax with "I learned to breathe again," a sentence that implies he has begun to understand his new world, accept his journey, and return to life, not as Jimin the idol, but as Park Jimin rebuilding himself. When all of this will be officially revealed remains a mystery. But 3 dates are now under the spotlight. October 13th, 2025, Face Anniversary. December 31st, 2025, end of BTS's first reunion year, and March 13th, 2026, Jimin's birthday. All 3 hold strong potential as launch points for something big. ARMY has already started hashtag campaigns, created fan art, and even drafted imaginary track lists of what they call Jimin's Healing Trilogy era. But behind all the speculation surrounding Jimin's statement, the fundamental question that cannot be ignored is, did this event really happen the way we believe? Or further, have we as the audience become victims of a subtly designed narrative meant to steer public perception for certain ends? We live in an era where the line between fact and interpretation is increasingly blurred. Jimin's statement, though brief and spoken in an unscripted live format, has now become the center of global debate. But should we immediately assume that the sentence is a secret code for an upcoming music project? Or are we too easily caught up in euphoria and speculation that lacks concrete verification? It must be emphasized that the widely circulated information so far comes from platforms that do not always adhere to journalistic verification standards, such as TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and other online community forums. There has been no direct statement from management, other BTS members, or confirmation from credible media to guarantee that "I Learned to Breathe Again" is part of a song, project, or any promotional strategy. At this point, readers should be invited to ask a more fundamental question. Who benefits from this speculation? Is this purely an emotional response from an artist returning from military isolation? Or is it part of a narrative deliberately planted into public discourse to spark a wave of anticipation for an upcoming release? We also need to consider that the entertainment industry, including K-pop, is not free from the dynamics of capitalizing on emotion and trauma. In such a highly structured world like the South Korean music industry, many are beginning to question, was this moment authentic, or has it gone through very precise narrative control? Even the absence of the moment in HYB's official highlights raises further suspicion. Was it a technical glitch or a strategic move to filter exposure? Thus, the public must remain skeptical and not let itself be swayed by sensations without a clear factual foundation. We must ask, are we drawing conclusions too quickly from tiny clips and ambiguous personal expressions? Have we lost the ability to distinguish between documented reality and narratives shaped by social media algorithms? It's important to realize that in today's fragmented digital ecosystem, the power of collective opinion significantly influences the formation of pseudo-truths. Information repeated and spread massively can quickly be regarded as fact, even without valid verification. In this context, we must ask, are we truly seeking truth, or merely chasing emotionally satisfying stories? Jungkook's shocked reaction, RM's silent smile, and the sudden silence from the BTS members may have been real. But the question remains, was that a sign of genuine surprise or an overinterpretation by an audience eager to find hidden meaning behind every expression? We're not saying all of this is a lie, but we're also not in a position to confirm it as absolute truth. What we are saying is that much of the analytical content circulating, including the deep dive you just read, is constructed from data correlations originating from digital platforms, which are highly vulnerable to bias, misinformation, and emotional manipulation. Therefore, we invite you to reflect and reevaluate. How much do you believe this narrative? Are you seeing facts, or merely imagining meanings in something uncertain? Are you reading news or being told a story? As consumers of information in the digital age, we must have the intellectual integrity to suspend belief until there is concrete verification. Not everything that goes viral is true. Not everything emotional is sincere. And not every silence holds a hidden meaning. We urge readers not just to spread the news, but to question its legitimacy. Is the phrase, "I learned to breathe again," really part of a grand, unannounced plan? Or is it simply the spontaneous reflection of a human being returning to the public eye after a long period of absence?